So I was very right. I was in the 1970s. Yes. I think that's right. 629.
Yes. Right.
So to say, this is what a child is based on.
Yes.
6:30 p.m.
Will you turn your mics on? Sorry. Sorry to interrupt you. Turn your mic on. There we go.
6:30, great. Did you get that?
No.
Okay. Once again, good evening. It is Wednesday, January 21st, 2026 at 6:30 p.m. This is a regular Harpswell Planning Board meeting. I'd like to call it to order. And the next step is to ask our co-chair or our vice chair, Dan, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All. Thank you for that. We do have a quorum. A quorum is 4 members. We have 5 here. Everyone can introduce themselves, beginning here with our associate member.
Heather Allen.
Courtney Snellings.
Amy Heibel.
Dan Hobeck.
Christine Donovan Hall.
And I'm Margaret McIntyre, the town planner.
And Heather is an associate member, but you're welcome to vote if you'd like to. Certainly ask questions, participate 100%. All right, we've done that, introduced. So we have 3 items on the agenda tonight. The first item is the consideration of an application for a wharf in the Resource Protection Zone. The Planning Board has jurisdiction for reviewing new wharfs in the Resource Protection Zone. The Harbor Master also will weigh in, I believe, at a later date. We always try to get his review if we can before the meeting, but it doesn't usually work out that way. And then I believe the Select Board gives final approval. So this is one of the steps in the process. The next application is determining whether the board wants to exercise its jurisdiction for to reconstruct a non-conforming structure, and the board can choose to either take jurisdiction or to remand it to the codes office. The last one will be a site amendment to consideration for an application for a site plan review, which is to enlarge an existing structure that's already been there for quite a long time. This will take more time for our review because site plan reviews are more thorough and more complicated. So we begin with the seasonal dock in the Resource Protection Zone. This is item 260101. The property owners are William and Amy Felon. It's 128 Hildreth Road, Harpswell, Maine. And essentially, what this applicant wants to do is construct a seasonal dock consisting of a pier, a ramp, and a float. And we have their representative, Tim, who is here with Flycatcher, who can explain the project in more detail. I first want to ask Margaret if she has anything she would like to add.
Maybe a couple things. I want to thank you guys for letting us postpone from the December meeting to this meeting. That was really nice for you guys to be flexible with us. And I was not at the site walk, so maybe somebody can give us a quick summary of what you saw there.
I wondered does anybody want to do that?
Wasn't there.
Well, we were there. It was a cold day. It's always great to be on site and see what's going on. We had a lot of questions answered, most of which I think Tim will help us out with. And
There was one abutter there,
there was
right?
one abutter there. I don't believe the applicant was there.
No, they were not.
No,
Yeah.
and yeah, the applicant was not there. It's a fairly large structure, and there's another fairly large structure that abuts it, and we talked about whether or not it was possible to do a cooperative use of the structure, because we really like to have as few piers and objects extending out into the shoreline as possible, but it's completely within the rights of this property owner to do what the application asked for. And so that's basically a summary. So, yeah. So, Mr. Forrester.
Yep. Hi, good evening, good evening, everyone. I'm Tim Forrester with Flycatcher here on behalf of the applicants. So it's 128 Hilveth Road, and this is it's a proposed permanent pier with a seasonal ramp and float. So we looked at the whole shoreline and tried to determine the the shortest distance to get from point A to point B, and what would meet the applicant's needs. Are Amy had mentioned, or the chair had mentioned, that there is another dock further to the south, which there certainly is. You can see it on sheet 1. And that one, just because of the lay of the land, sticks out a little further out, and our proposed one is tucked back in a little bit. You can tell in the aerial imagery that we don't even make it all the way out to low water. So our target goal here was a piece of ledge that sits in the intertidal zone, which is an ideal spot to end a pier on, because you can pin the piles to ledge, and it's strong and stable, has the least amount of impact when you're, the preference would be to pin items to ledge as opposed to driving them into the mud or something like that. So the overall design that we came up with does require some landings and stairs, keeping stair runs to a minimum of less than 12 feet. So we added a interim landing. So you start with a short 4x4 landing, a short run of stairs to another landing, one more run of stairs, and then you're down onto the pier. The proposed pier is 6x80, so 6 feet wide is a standard recreational pier width. And then we try to go with pretty long gangways. They're the least expensive way to cover the largest distance and also have the least amount of impact. So 40-foot gangways are pretty typical. And then the float size is very standard as well at 10x20. So it will sit on the mud for a short period of time. There's maybe a foot of water from where the float sits out to mean low water. So just for like an hour on either side of low tide, depending on the cycle, it would ground out. There's also a proposed haul out, which will be located adjacent to the pier itself. There are a couple of trees. I think we talked about the trees during the site visit. One of which is dying, another one is leaning out along the shoreline. So those ones, one is dead, another one is leaning, and a potential threat to the pier itself. So those will come out. We also talked about some of the other activities out here. There's some shoreline stabilization. We're also doing some marsh creation in front of the riprap here. I know it's not in the board's jurisdiction, but it was a topic of discussion. And I guess with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. I guess I should also add that DEP and Army Corps permits have been received for this. So.
Okay. Does Army Corps, we talked about whether Army Corps needed to be involved or not.
Yeah, the Army Corps is in a different place now than they used to be. So everything was on a 5-year cycle for a general permit issued to the state of Maine, which is now changed to a regional permit. So that change, and they also now have an electronic system for submitting, so in the RSS system. So everything's a little different on the federal end. In short, their criteria has somewhat lessened in terms of what's required when permits are issued. But this one was submitted before those changes, so it did follow the older standard core process.
Okay. Flycatcher always does a really good job on these applications, and we appreciate it because it makes our job easier.
Thank you.
So I want to say thank you. This is the first time we've dealt with salt marsh, what did you call it, the mats, the
It's a reinforced cobble marsh, so it's a,
yeah.
yep.
Yeah, so would you explain a little bit about that for board members so that we can
Sure.
get a good,
So there is adjacent marsh in the area, or adjacent to where we're proposing to put it, and most likely over time, some of that marsh is washed out, eroded out. Also, as a way to help sort of offset some of the impacts of hard armoring shorelines, if we're able to create marsh in front of that, then we're going to end up trapping sediments and increasing sediments up against the riprap itself, which historically can have a negative impact and remove sediment. So it's a way to offset that. So it creates habitat, it breaks up wave action, and it's an overall benefit to the resource.
thank you. Anybody have any questions?
I have one question about the existing staircase. Is that going to stay?
The existing staircase will stay. There's no stairs proposed off of the pier itself. So there'll still just be one form of access down to the shore.
I had just a clarification question. Under erosion control plan for the dock construction, it says, given that minimal sedimentation, if any, will occur and no heavy equipment will operate in the coastal wetland for the construction of the dock, no formal measures are proposed to control erosion or sedimentation. But on the next page, under land use standards, it says the applicant intends to install erosion and sedimentation control measures prior to the start of construction. So I wasn't really sure. Obviously, there's supposed to
Talking
be
out
two
of both
different
sides
things.
of my mouth,
but-
yeah. So typically dock projects don't have a lot of impact to the resource itself. On the upland side, you may remove some ground cover, some trees, maybe you're driving some pipes. That's all hand activities. Same thing with pinning piles to ledge. So there's really not a lot of soil disturbance associated with piers. But there is riprap associated with this, and there will be equipment on the shore for that. So I think what may have happened is a blending of two projects, one that comes before you and one that comes before everybody else.
Okay, thank you. I was just confused as I read through. I was like,
Yeah.
wait, didn't I just read that there wasn't anything and now there is
Right.
something? Okay, thank
Yep,
you.
sure.
Anybody else? No? I'm sorry, but I have two other questions. One is, I wonder where the haul out will be, and the second is,
Yeah.
I would love to hear more about how you're going to monitor the mats and what the, how you'll determine whether the mats have succeeded in what you hoped they would do or not, and are there any predators that would be like green crabs or something that would come in and perhaps make it more difficult for the mats to really take hold?
Yeah, those are great questions. In terms of monitoring, I'd have to check the DEP permit to see if they actually required it for us. I don't think they did, but I can tell you I'm very excited about the project, and I am going to monitor it. So typically it would be a spring and fall that we would go out and look at it, and really just looking at how well the plants are doing that we install. Is the mattress itself, surviving, sustaining, not getting too beat up? And this is a combination of larger, of cobble, core fabric, core material, shredded core material, and then organic matter. So basically, we're trying to recreate the marsh substrate that naturally exists, and then the whole thing gets planted with salt marsh species. So, there could be potential issues. We'll try to acclimate the plants before we put them in there, so get them used to the salinity that they'll be exposed to, because they're nursery-raised plants, so that takes a little time. And then how they manage throughout the summer, we can keep an eye on that. We can always go out and get more plugs and do a second effort if needed. In terms of non-native species, green crabs is the one that comes to mind for everyone, but this is really set so far up against the adjacent upland that I don't think green crabs will be much of an issue. Their exposure and amount of time to it will be pretty limited. It's being planted and elevated so that it's essentially high marsh now, but with sea level rise, it'll become low marsh over time.
I love it. I think it's really interesting, and I'm very curious about how it goes for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'd just like to say one more thing, which is I commend you for the native revegetation that you guys are going to do. That was
Yep.
all native plants.
Yep.
And I know our person who's doing the TV is very happy about that.
Yeah.
Also, so that was great to see.
Yeah, any shoreline stabilization project that we propose will have a vegetative buffer associated with it, mostly when there are projects that have lawn right down to the edge, where so you come across the lawn, it drops off down to the slope. In those situations, we're always installing vegetative buffers in the upland to recoup some of that area.
I want to say thank you to the owners, too, because they're paying for this. And so we
Yeah.
really appreciate people taking care and being willing to put the investment in.
Yep. Great.
So, thank you very much, Mr. Forrester. Sorry I
you.
keep calling you Tim, but,
That's okay.
all right. So I'm sure you'll be willing to answer any other questions if they come up. We're going to move on to our findings of fact now, and
Okay.
so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Offer,
Oh, the public, yeah. Is there anybody here from an abutter, any public that would like to speak? Okay. Going once, going twice. All right. We're moving on to findings of fact. So what we do here is we have these findings, which are have been prepared by the planner. And what she has done is she's gone through the ordinance, section 15.3.1, which is 15.3.1 through 15.311.3. Those are the standards that in the ordinance that we have to follow. They're legal standards, and the findings basically give anyone who comes to review our decision really clear directions about how we reviewed the application and whether we followed the ordinance or not. And these are on file, and so you can look at them at any time. So I will, if there's no further discussion, I think we're ready for a motion to determine whether the application conforms with the shoreland zoning ordinance standards.
I would just note really fast, I highlighted one standard, section 15.3.5, the pier will not extend below mean low water. Tim didn't put mean low water on his plan. I think you have mean lowest, lower water, whatever, MLLW. Yeah, whatever. The meanest of the waters. But I just didn't see it, so I assumed that you met that standard, but I don't think it was on there.
So that's another case of drafting plans for one regulatory agency and then coming before another. So, we typically show mean low water, which is the lowest that you'll ever see. So there's really not there's a little bit of a difference there, but it's a fraction of a foot. So no portion of the structure will be beyond mean low water.
Cool.
For the record.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you. Dan, would you like to make a motion?
I certainly would. I move that the planning board finds that the standards in sections 15.3.1 through 15.3.11.3 are met based on the proposed findings from the town planner, which are incorporated into this motion by reference.
And would you be willing to give the date and the item number? Would you be willing to add that to your motion? Just to make
Sure.
it really clear?
There it is.
Oh, okay. As to item number 26-0101, and the draft motion dated January 15, 2026.
Perfect. All right, I'll second that. Any discussion?
I was going to second it, but that's okay.
Oh, sorry.
No,
Okay.
that was so much easier to say than that.
Okay. Just got to speak up. Mike, I'm going deaf. Okay. All right, so moved, seconded. Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
We have to do it verbally because of,
Well, I
Oh, yeah, we
asked
don't
if
have
there was
anybody
anybody on there.
On there. I think, yeah.
okay,
All-
see
It's a
something.
unanimous decision,
Yeah.
so we'll
okay.
put that in the record. Okay. Okay, so now we have approved we have agreed that the application conforms with the standards, and now we approve the application. These are conclusions of law. So Courtney, would you like to make that motion? Since I interrupted you,
No, because I have to do a long one like his, right?
no, it's right here.
Oh,
Yeah,
then
this
I'll be
will-
happy to do that.
Yeah, it's longer than the one I had.
Yeah, but it's
Oh,
right
I would
there.
love, no, I would love to see that. The planning board, is that the right one? The planning board finds that the applicants, William and Amy Phelan, have met the standards of the Town of Harpswell's shoreline zoning ordinance for the installation of a seasonal dock in the Resource Protection District. The planning board approves the application subject to the following conditions of approval. Read on, correct? 1, this approval is not final until such time as a notice of decision has been signed by the chair of the planning board. 2, this approval is based on the application, including the drawings of the proposed dock prepared by Flycatcher LLC, and on all submissions and information provided by the applicant at final approval, whether referenced in any findings or conditions of approval. 3, this approval is dependent upon and limited to the proposal and plans contained in the application and supporting documents submitted and affirmed to by the applicant. Any variation from the plan, proposals, and supporting documents, except de minimis changes as determined by the town planner that do not affect approval standards, is subject to the review and approval of the planning board prior to implementation. 4, the applicant shall comply with all state and federal rules and regulations that apply to the application.
I'll second your motion.
Madam
Any-
Chair, if I could make one comment. In the beginning, it made reference to a seasonal dock. It is a permanent dock with a seasonal ramp and float.
Interesting.
I think it was the first or second sentence.
Let's see, blah, blah, blah.
A seasonal dock in the, yes, okay, so a
Yeah.
permanent
Yeah,
dock
right.
with,
Do I have to?
Can we just say the installation of a dock with a seasonal
Yes.
ramp and float?
Yep,
Yeah,
thank you.
Thanks.
thank you.
Do we have to reread it, or is it good as amended?
that should be good as is.
That's amended, all right.
Okay.
I will second that motion. Any discussion? All those in favor? Thank you.
Good catch.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you very much. And I see where the float haul out is. I realize, I didn't ask you that a second time, but I see where it is. Okay, thank you.
Thanks. See you next month, maybe.
All right. All right, the next application, 260102, is for 6 Keys Lane LLC. It's the owner. And the applicant is Dale Warner. This is on map 30, lot 116. And applicant is seeking permission to remove a non-conforming house and 2 outbuildings and construct a new non-conforming house in its place. The lot is located at 6 Keys Lane, map 30, lot 116. And the existing home is non-conforming with respect to the property line setbacks on the east and northerly side lines. It's an interesting lot. We did do a site walk. It was great to be able to see all the buildings because there are several buildings on this lot. It's sort of part of a compound. And so it was very good to be able to go on site and look at the buildings that are going to be removed and then see where the proposed new construction will take place. You got a much better sense of how close things are and really how tight the lot is. So that was, as usual, very helpful to be out actually on the land. So, Margaret, do you have anything to add to my brief introduction before we hear from the applicant's representative?
Only that they gave us some additional information today that you, that didn't make it to the website, obviously, but you guys got here. So the additional information includes an updated site plan, an erosion control plan, and a letter from Steve Robbins that says that some septic will be designed at some point.
Okay. So once again, this is a jurisdictional review. The board will hear from the applicant, and then based on the material that's been submitted, questions and answers from the applicant, then the board will decide whether it wants to take jurisdiction or not. If it takes jurisdiction, its jurisdiction is limited to some very specific review criteria. If it remands it to codes, then codes will do its thing, as it usually does quite well. So we'll hear from the applicant unless there are board members that have anything they'd like to say. All right, sir. Please introduce
good evening.
yourself and
I'm Dale Warner. I represent Norm McAvoy, the owner. We are, as you said, trying to build a new home at 6 Keys. I just wanted to correct you on one thing. We are taking 3 structures down, is what we wanted to do. One being a actual residence, one being a garage, and the third being a workshop apartment. So, yeah, our intention is to remove these structures, build a new structure in a as-can-be conforming to the site as much as we can. Everything we're doing is an improvement on the site. Obviously, with the site visit, you got an idea of how close things were to those lines. The new site plan doesn't change from what I submitted to the application, with the exception of indication of what the existing driveway is and what will be allowed for what we have there. Any questions? That's really all we're doing. I know we have some septic, as I included with the Steve Robbins note. We're dealing with existing Harpswell ingenuity from long ago with what they provided for septic from a different parcel, as I indicated with the Little Island property, as well as the well that is fed from 6 Keys to that other parcel, which really has nothing to do with what we're doing here, but it all comes into play at the end of the day.
yeah, the site walk was illustrative of the fact that we had many seasonal buildings in town that were constructed and put in place really before zoning was an issue, and so it creates a challenge for new construction. I have a question about the compound. There are a number of lots in here, and I wonder if you could explain a little bit about what the whole scene is there.
Well, it was purchased as you see it. The new owner, what we've done is just systematically have gone through 2 of the buildings, which basically full remodels, making sure that we're complying with our new setbacks and what's required from the town on those. One, we didn't have to really do anything. We didn't do much more than just a facelift on that and a few interior, some structural, but did not impede on the lot itself. All these properties are owned by Stanley Keys. years ago. And it's just been passed down from, I think, families to families prior to Stanley owning it. He obtained the firehouse, if I'm correct. Well, right. The old firehouse and the fire barn, which is a different parcel, which, again, as I indicated with that septic design, incorporates that place because of that Harpswell ingenuity, if you will. And so this third one, the 3 homes that we want to take down are really, if they were salvageable and we're in a better location, we would do it. We would tackle it, but they're not. You know, one is really beyond saving. Mold has taken over that, and the other one is just structurally not sound enough to do anything. We know the envelope is very tight. The architect has done an amazing job with situating that as best he can to get that to work. We know we're not as conforming as we should be, but again, we're asking that you take into consideration, and we've already talked to the owner about if we should have to write an easement to access that second parcel, calling it parcel C on that site plan. I don't know if it's listed there. Again, that's Little Island Road. So if we have to make an amendment and have that, an easement given to himself to make that 15-foot setback work. But again, we're going from 2 feet to 15 from what's there on that lot now.
Can I ask you to read something for me? I had some trouble reading.
My
Maybe it's
penmanship?
your, yes.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry. I tried.
No, it's okay.
Thank you.
What would you like?
It's like describe your proposed activity, if you wouldn't mind reading that.
Certainly.
I'd appreciate it.
It's a removal of 3 non-conforming structures. Number 1, a 2-story, 20-foot by 20-foot workshop apartment with 1 bedroom, 1 bath. It has a 30-foot 4 elevation on that. The second structure would be a 1-story garage, a 16-foot 6 by 15-foot
Okay.
elevation of 14-foot 6. And I'm incorporating these elevations so it bears in mind.
I couldn't read that word. Okay.
Right. The third structure, 2-story, 33-foot 6 by 20-foot 6, 34-foot 4 elevation. That'd be the dismantling of those. And it'd be to construct a 50-foot by 25-foot with a 30-foot 10 elevation,
Okay.
trying to keep that into the non-conforming height, right? 2-story, 3-bedroom, 3.5 bath home on lot 116, 6 Keys Lane. New structure will meet new conforming requirements, setbacks, and elevations. See attached site plan. New home will be situated on lot to meet these requirements.
So you're saying that it will meet,
To the best that we can do on that lot is what I probably should have followed up with.
because the proposed property line setbacks, those are all 25 feet.
With the exception, that's where I need to definitely amend the west side. That is 15 foot.
Because I couldn't make the math work there.
Right.
Okay.
That's the 15-foot mark, yep.
He put what the setbacks are, not how far the building will be from the property line.
I thought that would be what the setbacks, what we
You're
were
supposed
talking
to be
about.
25 feet.
Right. it's-
Right.
Well,
Which
We
is
made
what
it
he
at work
wrote.
everywhere else except for that one spot.
it does
Well,
say
no,
proposed.
not from the east or the west.
Well,
You're
that was
only
my
conforming from
confusion
the
because
north and
it
the south,
says
yeah. It's
proposed or
incorrect.
25 feet, but I couldn't get that to work.
I'll also note that their development activity and their site information page label the buildings in a different way than their site plan does, and I asked them to correct it, but it did not get corrected. But it does make it a little confusing.
I'm usually confused.
I thought,
It'd be-
That's all right.
yeah. No, I thought we made those corrections,
I'll
Margaret.
cop to it.
No, you still have building number 1 way up here on Little Island Road. When in here and here, you should have buildings 1, 2, and 3 should all, you describe buildings 1, 2, and 3 all being from this lot. But your site building, anyways.
Can't even find the sheet. Jeez.
So the setback from Keys Lane on the deck will be 9 feet? Is that correct? I'm just looking here, and then the setback from, I can't tell which lot this is. I think it might be Lot C is 15 feet 6 inches, and then the setback from the house next door is 25 feet. And this- so 25 feet on the sides, 9 feet from the road.
That 9 feet is, yeah, from that easement on, that runs through there.
Okay.
It's a property line, not an easement.
Oh, okay. No, it's a property line, okay.
Yes.
I thought maybe it was a setback.
The
but-
10-foot right-of-way where it says that,
Yep.
that's Keys Lane, so it's a little
Yep.
confusing, but this is the property line right here.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
yep.
Can I ask, can I have the architect who did those drawings?
Yeah.
Talk and
Of course.
answer those questions for you? He did the legwork on that. This is Charlie Hancock.
Okay, thank you.
If I may put it into my own words. We have an existing lot.
Hey, do you want a poster
If you
board?
actually look at the 25-foot setbacks, you have an absolutely unusable trapezoidal shape, buildable area by rights, which would be 6 feet at 25 feet south from the north property line. That building would be 6 feet wide. Go down to 50 feet, the other end, it would be 14 feet wide. It's unusable. So consequently, the direction we got was to center this on the site, which means, of course, we're not going to get 25-foot setbacks on the east or west, no matter what we do. It is a massive improvement over the setbacks on the existing house, which I have marked here at 5 feet, or the two other outbuildings, which were probably 2 or 3 feet from the property line. It's a marked improvement, and is the absolute best we can do to build a reasonable size house. The width of the house is about 25 feet. That's a fairly standard number for widths of houses to make a usable space. So the 15-foot 6 on the back and the 9-foot on the deck, we can't do much better than that. Physically, it's not physically possible without building a ridiculous house.
Thank you. One of the things I just would note is on the site information, there's no page number here, but there is information about footprints and square feet of impervious surface.
Okay.
So the existing non-compliant buildings to be demolished total 1,728 square feet.
Correct?
And the footprint of the new house plus the second floor deck total 1,486 square feet. So that is a reduction in terms of the non-compliance of lot coverage.
One of the things that I noticed on the drawing about what your massive buildable area is of 6 feet over here and 14 feet over there, just doing some rough numbers here, if you take a look at all three of the buildings that are on the property right now, only about 100 square feet is within the buildable area.
Approximately.
Yeah, the shed's entirely out of it. The other just have a couple of corners here and there. So moving, I think you've done a wonderful job of just trying to work with the small amount.
It's a
of
little
area.
bit thread in the eye of the needle
Yeah.
Yeah.
and shoehorning it in.
Yeah. Anybody else have a question? I have one more. It's outside the purview of our review, but I'm just curious. I noticed there are 3 bedrooms and 3.5 bathrooms. And this is a family compound. One of the things that Hartsville's been dealing with is rental properties. And so I just wondered if the plan was to rent this out seasonally or if it was for family use. And it's really outside our purview, but I'm just curious.
Generally, I have to say family, but I can refer to Norman McAvoy.
So,
Yeah.
we don't basically like to share things. I mean, I'm not going to rule out.
Could put your name on the record?
My name is Norman McAvoy.
Thank you.
Okay. So we've been coming up here for years, and we have a family place with cousins over by the tennis court. And when this came up for sale, I felt that it was something I could leave for my kids, because right now we share with 30 or 40 cousins. So the answer is, it's for my family. Will we rent a little bit? Probably. Will we rent a lot? Absolutely not. Just as a human being, I don't like people using my stuff. It never comes back to you the way you gave it to them. And so if that sheds light on whether it's going to be a full-time rental or not, no way.
Yeah, thank you. We sort of feel that way about our neighborhoods, too. And we really need tourism in town, but when you've been living in a neighborhood for all your life and suddenly it changes because you have rental units that you don't know your neighbor now, we feel the same way that you do, I guess, in many ways. But we have a really thriving sort of second home community here in Harpswell, and we like to treat each other well. So it's beyond our purview, but I appreciate your answer.
Thank you. I'd like to add one thing about the Arndt family, which you are part of.
Charlie, back to the mic.
Has been coming to Harpswell. If I'm not mistaken, the first house your great-grandfather bought in 1911, was it?
Possibly, but my great-grandfather was one of the first traveling ministers down at All Saints Chapel.
Traveling minister.
And that's when the art compound started.
Oh,
And it's multi-generation. I've been to some family reunions there. I'm a distant cousin. But I'm not have anything related to the compound. But it is huge. And they
Yeah.
take turns using the houses within the family on the compound across the street.
thank you.
I just have one concern, just to my fellow board members. Do we need to be concerned because we are allowing part of the new structure to be more non-conforming than usually when we allow something that is non-conforming to be replaced, we say that nothing can be more non-conforming, but I believe the rear is going to be, the setback's going to be smaller than it's supposed to be. I just didn't know whether we were opening ourselves for future issues. That's all, but I will defer to the chair or someone who knows more than I. That was just a concern on my part.
Well, let's look at section 10.3.2.2 and 10.3.2.4.
You're not looking in the big thing, you're just
Because
looking.
you've raised the question, I know you've read this, but just because you've asked,
Yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate your,
so.
and I know
the
it's on
sh-
here someplace.
Yeah. The shoreline zoning ordinance establishes the standards to be used in the review of the application to reconstruct a nonconforming structure. So our planner excerpted portions of the section that creates the approval standard that we have to use. And it says that the new construction may be reconstructed or replaced, provided that such replacement is in compliance with the setback requirements to the greatest practical extent as determined by the CEO or planning board in accordance with the purposes of this ordinance. In no case shall a structure be reconstructed or replaced so as to increase its nonconformity.
That was my concern there, but maybe I don't need to worry about it. I understand that the final structure as a whole is less conforming, and I just don't know,
Yeah. I think that's
You
how
know,
you,
that's
my own
what
opinion
my
is that
concern
that's how
was.
you would have to read it, is that in totality, are you increasing the nonconformity? Because everything else talks in terms of meeting the requirements to the greatest practical extent.
Right.
So,
I'm just not used to allowing something to increase in nonconformity. That's my first.
yeah.
Well,
experience with that.
it does
So-
say if the total footprint of the original structure can be relocated or reconstructed beyond the required setback area, no portion of the relocated or reconstructed structure shall be placed or constructed less than the required setback for a new structure. So it is a sticky wicket.
Yeah.
But that's only if, read that, not the last.
Yes, if
Clause.
if the total footprint can be
Can be.
relocated, so that's if it
Yeah.
can be. And technically, it could be, but it would be 4 feet or 6 feet wide.
Right.
And so it seems to me that we can make a case that it would be unreasonable to reconstruct the new structure meeting the setback requirements. And I think we should note that the information that has been provided giving the existing non-compliance and compared to the footprint of the new house and its compliance makes a case for reducing the nonconformance
Okay.
as a whole. But you raised a good point, yeah.
Well, I appreciate your responding to it. I thought it was worthwhile to bring it up.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's an interesting question that we don't get very often,
No.
that's for sure.
But as we said in the beginning, these old sites that would now be unbuildable today,
Yeah.
that have an economic use, that are in ownership, and that want to be continued to be used, it does create extraneous circumstances or difficult circumstances, complications, whatever, that we have to work around. So I would ask the board whether we want to take
Do you
I'm
want to
sorry.
ask if there's anyone who wants to speak?
Dan, you always remind me of that. I just want to move right on. Is there any abutter that would like to make a comment or, thank you. Okay, going once, going twice. All right, we're going to move on. So now
Margaret.
Can I interrupt really fast? I think that this is a really interesting point that Courtney brought up, because it kind of brings back what we discussed at Wentworth Lane. It's the same situation. They had a garage and a house, and they wanted to make their home, they wanted to use the nonconformity of the garage to move their home closer to the property line, which is exactly what's happening in this case. I think that the ordinance reads, you take down a structure, you replace a structure. It doesn't make allowances for credit for other structures that are removed. So I think it's interesting. I think that you could handle it in a black and white. They're making their home less conforming. You could handle it that way. You could handle it on a case-by-case basis. In this case, there is no building envelope, or an unreasonable one, and they're making the overall replacement structure more conforming. I think you could handle it in a number of different ways, and as much as it's nice to have a rule that we can follow, maybe, it's also a judgment, for sure.
I think
And
we
what
need-
does the greatest practical extent mean
Yeah.
in any case?
Do you know how other towns handle this?
I think that it's an always issue for the shoreline zoning ordinance.
It's a what? Can you say?
Always.
Okay.
It's an always issue. As long as, I've talked to Jeff Kalinich about this a lot, the shoreline zoning coordinator. Although this case doesn't have to do with the shoreline zoning setbacks, the same principles apply for greatest practical extent. And where was I going with this? I talked to Jeff Kalinich, and he said basically, as long as whoever is making this decision documents why you think it's going to as long as you make a finding of saying this is why it meets it, then there's something to kind of stand behind.
Yeah. Which is why having the findings of fact, the record, and the minutes are so important, because we've had situations in the past where we didn't really know why the decision was made. At the time, it probably seemed right, but we had trouble figuring out what actually went on. We didn't see how the sausage got made, so it's important to see how the sausage gets made.
But there, and one other thing, that one of the interesting things that we learned at the site visit was that one of the buildings, you wouldn't want to even go into it because of all the issues with mold. So this is also a case where you don't have a building that you'd say, well, can we salvage this building? Can we do something with it? That's not going to work. And it will improve the health and safety of that area.
There is one thing that I want to address, and that is parking. Because if this is rented out, then the calculations for impervious surface would stand. But if there are parked cars, or if there's impervious surface added to this site for parking, you're going to exceed. And so if this gets remanded to codes, or regardless, that is an issue that we really need to be aware of, right? We haven't addressed parking here, and that's partly also why I asked, is this going to be for family or for rental? Because you could have 3 families, 3 individuals, parking 3 cars there, because you've got 3 bedrooms. You could actually have 6 with 2 people per bedroom.
This is making me very uncomfortable.
Okay.
I'm just going to say that personally, you can have 3 families. He can have 3 of his own families. It has nothing to do with rentals, and the conversation direction is making me uncomfortable. I don't think that it's our business, that it has anything to do with these decisions based on the ordinances, whether it's going to be a rental or not.
Okay, but we
Or
do...
parking, fine, but
Yeah, parking is really what I'm...
it's 2 different things.
I understand. That's why okay.
Also, I'd note that it's been a topic of conversation between codes and planning that there are no parking standards. There's standards for parking lots, but there are no parking spot requirements in either the shoreline zoning ordinance or the basic land use ordinance, which is a little surprising, but we don't require any number of spots for any uses.
Interesting.
It is something to consider, though.
Definitely. I mean, with what Norm owns over there, we have that third parcel being from Little Island Road, which we had entertained the idea of adding a parking area to incorporate that.
Yeah.
Which is adequate enough. It's what housed the old fire trucks.
Yeah.
So you can get about 6 or 7 vehicles in that area. But that'd be phase 4 of what we'd be doing for site work, fizzling our way out of the area.
That's not parcel C, though, is it?
I think it
Is
is
it?
listed as parcel C.
Is that where the septic?
Correct.
Septic is going to be?
Correct, yep.
But it looked like that was owned by somebody else.
No, that's the same owner.
Because
And that
I
was
do
our
know that
question with
area. Septics are, across the street and in the
Correct.
field. Yeah.
Exactly. Everything is very close proximity
Oh,
there.
yeah. I think the other thing, too, is you're taking down a garage, so the garage would have been used for parking.
Not necessarily on that one. Maybe, it's more, maybe the lawn tractor.
Oh, okay. All right. I just thought I'd bring that up.
Oh, definitely. No,
I'm
definitely
sorry,
valid,
but
valid point, valid question.
Yeah.
And it is on our radar to address that, but with the extensive amount of site work that has to go on, granted, this goes through for us, and that would be on our final phase on making that work out with incorporating that parcel C.
Okay. I'm glad you're aware of it. Thank you very much.
Definitely. Thank you.
All right, so now the board needs to determine whether it wants to take jurisdiction or remand this to the codes office. So I will entertain a motion.
Don't look at me.
I will make a motion.
Good.
I move that the planning board remands the application of 6 Keys Lane LLC to construct a nonconforming structure on Lot 116 on map 30 that will continue to be nonconforming with respect to the property line setbacks to the code enforcement officer for processing. If the proposed reconstruction deviates substantially from this proposal, the town planner shall require that the revised proposal be re-reviewed by the planning board to determine if the board wants to take jurisdiction for the review of the application.
I'll second it.
All right, second, any discussion? No? All in favor? Thank you.
Can't have much more discussion than we've already had, right?
I don't know, sometimes.
Really,
Now that we are finished with it, this wasn't a part of the discussion of the use, but I think when we were out there taking a look at the buildings that were going to be demolished, one of the questions was whether some of the, like the windows or trim or whatever might be available for like the Harpswell Aging at Home project.
Absolutely, we're happy to donate anything like that. We even have possibly heat sources that people can take from us.
That'd be wonderful.
Yep.
So if you can contact the
will
Harpswell
indeed.
Aging at Home people, that would
And
be
we'll indeed.
wonderful.
They're all replacement windows,
Yeah.
just need a little love and that's it.
I'll also
Really?
note that
They're in decent shape,
They
some
are.
of them?
They
Oh,
are.
wow, because
the
they,
fire
that would be
department
great.
is interested in demos for training opportunities. Not
Yeah.
necessarily like the buildings are too close to light them on fire, but,
Sure. Yeah,
but
we-
other sort of like glass breaking exercises.
Let's
and
not
stuff.
break the windows. The idea was,
Well, maybe on the
Donate
other
the windows.
structures, maybe on the crummy structures.
OBIFD or is there?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll reach
Yeah.
out to them. for
Yeah.
sure. I'll talk to Marielle. Yeah.
thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
thanks.
Yeah, after the Wentworth Lane application, I was talking to Mike Drake, and he was telling me about how many tear-down rebuilds they used to have in a town that he had worked in, that they had so many that they didn't even burn them anymore because they did so many. They had so many controlled burns.
Yeah.
And so then he was saying, well, if they're really close together, there's other things we can do other than light them on fire, but we would love the training. So we got to remember to tell people.
Yep.
It's
That's
kind
a
of
good idea.
A burn, it would maybe reduce the amount that went to the landfill. Yeah.
Okay.
They're too
Okay,
close, though. They don't
moving
like
on.
to
Anybody
go
want to take a break, or?
Yeah.
No.
down.
Okay.
Next one, that's exciting, the last one.
All right, item 260103, Harpswell Heritage Land Trust. Owner Darius, that's the owner. Darius Salco is our applicant. This is going to be, I'm not exactly sure how we're going to go about this. I think it's going to have to kind of evolve. We did go on a site walk. There were a lot of questions on the site walk. Some of them were answered, some of them weren't. Issues were raised about exactly where the location of the addition was going to be. We were a little bit confused about that, and then we had that confirmed. We heard about some trees that were going to be taken down to make room for parking. We saw where the new egress is proposed. So we just got a feel for the lay of it, and let's see, who was there? Dan, Amy, Courtney, and the applicant. Anybody else? Anybody else there? I don't think that was
You
it.
weren't there. Lori wasn't there, and
No.
I wasn't
you
there.
weren't there, right?
No.
So it's just us,
Okay. That's
just
it.
us folks.
Okay, so this application is for the Harpswell Heritage Land Trust that is located at 153 Harpswell Neck Road, map 2, lot 70-1. The lot is about 1.71 acres, or 74,657 square feet. It has 225 feet of frontage on Harpswell Neck Road. The lot's improved with a single-story structure of 1,744 square feet, and a 10-square-foot deck on the south side and a 48-square-foot porch on the north side. It's the headquarters of the Harpswell Heritage Land Trust. It has office space, meeting space, a bathroom, and a kitchen. The original plan, site plan, was approved in 2006. No amendments have been made to the plan. However, since approval, a shed and 2 ramps and an outdoor shower have been added to the site. I don't know if that needed a site plan amendment or not, but it didn't get one. The lot is located in the interior zone, and it's subject to the basic land use ordinance, which is what we're reviewing this under. The applicant proposes to essentially more than double the size of the structure. It will, and we can hear more about that proposal, and they also want to add 24 parking spaces and the applicant is seeking after-the-fact approval for the shed.
Bless you.
There's
It's 12 parking spaces.
12?
Yeah.
Let's see, did I misread that? Yes, I'm sorry, 12. Did I say 24?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was reading 24 foot by 1. 12, thank you very much. So as Margaret has pointed out, a key factor to the success of the proposal is lot coverage. The applicant is seeking to take advantage of the Basic Land Use Ordinance, Section 11.1.1.3, which allows a non-residential development to have up to 50% lot coverage if green infrastructure and low-impact development techniques are utilized. Margaret has more to say about this as we go through her findings. Normally, a lot coverage in this area is limited to 20%. So there are several questions that Margaret raised in this application. And I guess what I would suggest is that we hear from the applicant. We can ask questions of the applicant based on the findings that we read, and the questions from Margaret, and just open it up to a discussion, and then see where we go from there. One thing I will say is I don't think you can expect approval tonight.
Yeah, I gathered that.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to make a motion for Tim Forrester from Flycatcher to stand in my place tonight. Because he seems very well
Nice
prepared.
try. Yeah. You guys could be brothers, but I don't think that's not gonna fly. Margaret, do you have anything that you want to say before the applicants speak?
Okay, you got that, okay.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so, not at this time. We have, yeah. No.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Feel free to begin, please. State your
Okay.
name and. for the
Hi, my
record.
name is Darius Elko. I'm from Rapid Run Builders, and I've been tasked with the beginning building phases of this addition for Harpswell Heritage Land Trust. One of the things, and I don't know where to go here, so I'm looking, I'm here to learn from you guys and figure out what it is that we need to do to get into compliance so that we can approve the project. One of the things that you had noted in your page was what are we going over the 20% impervious surface by? So I was able to calculate that. And what we have originally was using about 16.4% is the original structure with the original parking and the original driveway. That actually came from the town. They had this little write-up for me. So that leaves us with 2,665.52 square feet. So allowed for 20% would be 14,897 square feet. Existing is 12,232, so 16.4%. The buildings that we're adding are 1,783 square feet, which would bring our square footage total to 14,015, which is 18.8% lot coverage with impervious. So for just the buildings part of it, we're still under the 20%.
But you're not including the parking in that calculation, is that correct?
Correct. I was about to get to that. So the new entry would be 1,200 square feet. And there is, I don't know if it wasn't on your version. No, I think it's on what I send you guys. So it's 75.46 feet by 15 feet. And then I added some more for the fluted 25-foot portion that hits 125. I'm sorry, is it 123?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm working a project right now on 125. So with that, it's about 1,200 square feet. That would tip us over into 20.4%. So just over the allotted 20%. And then when you add the new parking, I used 110 by the 24. and that would be 2,640. And when you total the whole thing up, we're at 24%. So that's what we're talking about here. We're nowhere near 50, but we are over the 20%. And
Okay.
that is if everything was included.
Okay. So I heard all those numbers we all did, but I'm sure you'll get those in writing so that, and show us how you calculated those.
Sure.
Okay, great.
We did discuss lid technique. I'm just going to keep going on the impervious surfaces thing. It seems like that
great.
and drainage were the most important factors.
Yep.
All I was able to do was to kind of reach out to another colleague who's a landscape designer and to talk to him. We didn't really have enough time between, fact-finding, submittal, and then Margaret was nice enough to tell me where we were missing or void in the application, but I wasn't able to really muster everything together to get you something else. And I knew that I might be able to give you something, but it's not my expertise, so you weren't going to take it anyways. My suggestion here would be that we consult with a landscape designer, and that's kind of what I want to learn from you guys is exactly what you guys want to see in order to be able to approve the project. And, at what stage is like, this is where exactly we need this to come in, this is how it needs to look. I had suggested that we take our site plan that's already developed, give it to a landscape designer, have him overlay the lid and green building techniques that would suit this project, and to write a narrative as to what we're going to do, and then again use plants. The whole thing with water would be to slow it, spread it, and to sink it in place, and that's what you guys want as far as erosion, stormwater, and impervious surfaces. All comes down to trying to keep the water on the site and not let it go off and cause trouble someplace else. So the landscape designer would be able to tell us exactly what kind of techniques would be used in this project. So whether or not we use bioswales or terracing or a retention pond, or planting native water-loving species in places that need it. So that's the direction that I would like to go in, but I want to make sure that it's not like, no, we need to have you produce a plan set that has a 1-foot elevation, and we need to see everything, because we did go out on our own fact-finding mission after I knew that erosion and water retention was going to be an issue. And in the area that we're building it in, it is low, as you noticed, but it is not the lowest spot there. So what happens is the water will come off the original site and head towards where the new addition is going, but it then continues around and kind of wraps around in between the two houses into in front of where the new proposed 12 parking spaces are. So we would be able to, again, and normally I'm not used to having to bear all this proof ahead of time. We just kind of do what's right for the site, right? And then we're like, this is what I'm used to, But the water from the original structure is what you saw the day when you were there. That was melted water sitting on top of the snow. That is from the existing drainage that we uncovered. That was totally, covered over with duff over the years, and it just never was kind of scraped out and found. So we uncovered it during one of our test pits, and so that's, now that it had exposure, it was drip, drip, dripping. So we plan on connecting that with our new structure, wrapping it all together, and then bringing it into the lower areas where it can then stay and migrate to where it's already going now. But being that there is more impervious surfaces, we think that it is a good idea to bring in a landscape designer to say, can we design a retention pond or a terrace or a bioswale? I think the bioswale is probably really apt for the spot in the new parking, but again, it's not my area of expertise. I'm kind of the guy who does what I'm told and just accomplishes what we need to. And I'm totally for all of this, to protect as much nature as we can. That's the mission of the Land Trust as well. And it's probably more than part of the reason why they hired me in the first place, because I do green building, energy efficient buildings, and we do care about low carbon and low impact. So we're more than happy to kind of work this through the board and see what it is that you want from us.
May I ask a question? Was there ever any consideration of going up instead of going out? Going up?
No, but
That
yeah,
would certainly reduce your impervious surface.
it would. It would. I'm not sure what that does to the fire marshal's review and the accessibility and all that, and if, other things would be in consideration in that point, but
I think they'd need an elevator. I think.
I'm not sure where it would be in the cost, but we all kind of thought one level. Just to say a little bit about the rest of the project, it is, the Land Trust is looking to improve their office spaces. They have more employees. They're doing good things in the community. I don't have to get into that, and if I do, I'd rather that one of these two speak. I just know it from my standpoint of sending my kids to the camp, so we're more than excited to be a part of it and to help in any way that we can. But the programming in the timber frame portion of the building, in the screened porch portion of the building would be, I think, an excellent thing, and then the offices just to fit the amount of people that they have in there so they could use the building as they originally intended.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for that.
I do have one more.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The septic, we kind of wanted to, the original plan was to try to stick with the septic system that was there at the 215-gallon rating. And one of the things that's kind of still up in the air is the fire marshal review. And again, we're getting some of this stuff on the back end. If I had had more experience, maybe I would have been able to just jump at it and be like, no, we're going to need a stamp. We're going to need this kind of review. We're going to need this kind of engineering. We're going to need, we did structural engineering. We did a design, but they're not. They're a designer. They're not a registered architect. So we're working all that stuff out now, and we're still going forward with the fire marshal's review. And in that fire marshal's review, I'm assuming they're going to give us some kind of an occupancy rating. I don't know if you guys have more information on that than I do. But we just, we're looking at the size of the building, the conference room, and what they've done historically, and saying that with the 215 gallons, we can fit up to 57 people in there for a meeting. That doesn't mean that they're going to have 57 people in there. We just said, this is what we're allotted for, so let's use that number.
Yep.
It can be readjusted, and I wasn't sure what the fire marshal was going to say, if he was going to put one of those little plaques on the thing that says occupancy, like max 30 or something that they do. And
Yeah. That's not really in our purview, and.
Right, but what I wanted to see was that number prior to saying what our total occupancy is, and if we can't fit more than 40 people in there,
I
now
see.
40 people becomes 2 gallons per day less, per person, and the septic system might be good again.
Yep.
With the 215-gallon rating.
It's just all about making the numbers match.
It's about making the numbers match, and we're more than happy to entertain a redesign or an expansion of the leach field if it's necessary. One of the plans did have the leach field. I know, Margaret, it's not on our plan, but one of them I sent you that was
You gave us the septic design.
the septic design, but also there was, maybe it was no. I'm not sure which one of the little things that I found has the actual leach field drawn onto it, but I think it was in the packet, but it needs to get on our plan, and we'll do that as well. But,
Okay.
and the shower is being removed, the outdoor shower.
Because you're adding a shower inside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a question, although Mr. Newberg might be the person best placed to answer it. I was wondering whether the nature camps would sometimes be on the screen porch, or is it just occasionally, whether those kids that sign up for nature camp would have to be counted into the septic? but I didn't know whether it was only used, you were thinking it was going to just be used for planning, for the folks to plan, or whether maybe if you had a retention pond, there'd be something to look at there. But, I was wondering about that in terms of septic.
You can come up and answer it. While Mr. Newberg is coming up, one of the things I'm thinking that we could do is go through the submission requirements and then just really kind of feel our way through, and that's what we'll do next. Okay, thank you.
Matt Newberg, Executive Director of the Harpswell Heritage Land Trust. To answer your question, our hope and vision is for this to be a community facility, right? And to basically broaden the activities that take place there. So the screened-in porch is not only a place that could be utilized for Nature Day Camp, but also other nature programming that we do, right? So we do a lot of presentations, talks, things of that nature. We even maybe envision at some point there being some small interpretive trail type work and things of that nature. So yeah, we definitely are hoping to expand those offerings to the community.
Okay, thank you.
That's a good point, because that means that really it's important to not minimize the requirements now so that you don't paint yourselves into a corner in terms of future use. So that's partly why I asked, what about going up? Because that would really give you much more flexibility on that site. But I realize an elevator is very expensive. Maybe you have options to purchase adjacent land at some point. I don't really know, but those are just things that we think about. So, it's so funny. I worked with your dad almost 30 years ago. We were out tromping the streams back there, looking at drainage. Yeah, looking at drainage. So you probably have copies of this, but we've got conformance with submission requirements. These are things that we have to go through. They're the legal site plan ordinance submission requirements and standards. And what I'm going to suggest is that we go through each one of those without making any decisions, but it gives us guidance to give you guidance about what we're looking for when you come back again.
Yeah, I was able to review it, and I got X's and checks where we made it and we didn't make it.
Well, Margaret does a great job of anticipating what she thinks we're going to look for or what our concerns might be, but things slip through the cracks, so let's go through them. All right. All right, so I'm not sure how to do this here.
I'm on page 2 with conformance with submission requirements, and I have a list of things that I'd love to hear from you guys, because I have little notes on it, like the location of the nearest water supply for fire protection.
Yeah. So one of
Usually
the
I would
things,
just go to the town to find
Yeah.
out where that
I know.
is. So I'm not sure.
I knew on the
I'm
answer I
wondering
would've
if
put it
we
in there.
should do them off of the draft motions, or if we should do them off the site plan review.
Do it off the site plan.
Of site plan review requirements, okay. I
Is that what you
agree.
emailed?
Do you have a
me?
copy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the first one is a fully executed and signed copy of the application for review.
I can lend you mine if you'd like.
I don't think he has one.
You're welcome.
I think we can just go down and look at the ones that don't have a Y by them.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah.
we can, but I want to make sure that even though it has a yes, we don't, or there's a W that I just don't want to miss anything, but yeah, okay. So 1 and 2 on the first page, and under submission requirements, those are all yeses. 14.1, general information, yes. 2, yes. 3, sketch map showing general location of the site within the town. That says YW.
Well, you didn't include it. So you could waive that requirement. And put YW instead of W, but yeah, it wasn't included, so I don't, I
Okay,
think given in our age of technology, it's probably not really required,
okay, thank you. Okay,
but
This
it's
would
up to
be a
you.
sketch of
It's-
the
it's
the
just a
plot
red-
sitting in the town.
It's just a reduction of the
Zoomed
tax
out.
map. No, it's just a copy of the tax map, your map number 2. So, I mean, you can include it, we don't have to.
what's
We
the board
can, we
think?
can all Google
No?
it.
Okay, we're good with it. So.
We're good.
Let's go with that.
I'm changing it to Y.
Under page 3, on page 3, 14.2, in existing conditions, the zoning classification is incorrectly identified as shoreline residential. It's actually interior.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
I Googled it, and I was like, it said shoreline. I don't know where I found it, but I
Okay.
didn't make
I
it
was
up.
surprised.
It said it
I was like,
somewhere. and I
really?
was-
There's a
I'm
shore
glad to
there.
be wrong. It seems like a less stringent area.
Yeah, it's better to be.
Okay, so this is, Dan, this is
Sure.
one thing that, well, actually, maybe not. I'm looking at item 3, location of existing sewer, water mains, culverts and drains, on-site sewage disposal, wells, telephone poles, lines on the property to be developed or on abutting roads, land that may serve the development and assessment of their adequacy and condition. Margaret has yes on that. I just want to make sure that that's really complete. Because when we did our site walk, there's definitely going to be some drainage changes on that property.
Thank you. Thanks.
Well, I think that's one of the things that even though it's showing, yeah, I had the same kind of question, but if we're going to be taking a look at landscape design, that's going to answer those questions.
It
Right. I
is.
mean, we don't want to stop the water necessarily from going where it's always going right now.
Right.
We just want to make sure that it doesn't back up into our building, causing a structural issue in the building. And then we want to make sure that the stuff coming off the new roofs is getting to where it was going to go before.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not going to get soaked into the areas where the buildings are going to be. We're just going to have to get it to the lower spots. And that's
Okay.
kind of what we would try to achieve
Okay.
with green techniques and lit
Okay.
techniques.
So page 4, item 7, location of intersecting roads, driveways within 200 feet of the site. Margaret recommends, given the scale of proposed development, this standard could be waived.
Yeah.
What I'm thinking, I'm just thinking off the top of my head here. Route 123 increasingly has curb cuts. In fact, right around that site, there are a couple of new curb cuts on that property. I know that when the driveway the entrance was first discussed in 2006?
Yep.
The view distance was considered to be really important there. And since that time, there have been several new curb cuts on that property, or within 200 feet. So I think we should mark them. I think it should be there just for the record.
Mark what? The curb cut?
The location of intersecting roads or driveways within 200 feet of the
Okay.
site. I think that should be on paper.
Yeah, so that's not your entrance and egress, but it's the ones within 200 feet of it.
Including the opposite side of the road, I'm
Yes, yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes.
just so that we have an idea.
Who's
where-
coming and going and how?
Yeah.
Yeah. You probably had to, well, I don't know if you had to provide it to MDOT or not, but,
No.
No?
They
Well-
took my plan and they were able to go from there.
Okay.
Which just kind of included, I mean, I think he also had the survey and probably had the
Okay.
he had information from 2006 from the first
Okay.
driveway.
okay. Just for the record, I think it'd be good to have it on a site plan. Okay, the location of open drainage courses, wetlands, stone walls, graveyards. Margaret has said yes on this. I think this this pertains mostly to unique natural areas and site features. So I can understand why she put the yes there. So,
So there's no wetland at all in that low section? I mean, it was snow-covered, so we couldn't tell.
there's no soils map, though. So how do you know there's no wetland? There are wet soils, though, which if we do a drainage plan, there should be some kind of a soils investigation of the soils to see what they will take in terms of drainage.
We've already hired a geotechnical engineer, and he has already done soils investigation because we wanted to make sure that our foundation was going to be correctly built, sized appropriately. And we took that step because they had some issue with the buckling of the floor in the existing structure. And so once that was kind of brought to my attention, it was like, is this, this kind of thing takes an investigation. And again, I'm not the authority on this. So we brought somebody in that is the authority. So we started with what kind of soils are we sitting on? Why did this concrete buckle? We think we came up with a couple of solutions why. It's not a structural failure. It is a cosmetic failure, but still it's something that we don't want to occur on the new addition.
Okay.
So he didn't find anything super dramatic. It's just clay soils, so it doesn't want to let go of its water. It just wants to.
Exactly. And so that was largely for the structure, but it wasn't a site-wide soils analysis or anything like that.
No, that was just in the
Okay.
footprint.
So that should be fairly easy to obtain, but I'm not gonna go
Well,
into that at this point.
Ideally, maybe that would be on,
The drainage plan.
yeah, the stormwater plan.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. That's why, I agree. The direction of existing surface drainage across the site, that's not been included. That needs to be included as part of the drainage plan. I would say, I don't speak for the board, but I would say,
I put need drainage plan on mine.
okay.
What would, can you guys help me with that? What do you need to see for a drainage plan? Does that mean the 1 foot topographical? Or
What
does
do we
that mean
require?
like, hey, this is higher ground, this is lower ground, this is where we're taking the water from, and this is where we're putting it to? Because it is pretty straightforward when you talk about it in a colloquial manner, but it's, I don't know what it is, what kind of bar you guys are looking to view.
I think that would be kind of included in the stormwater plan, show how the existing water kind of flows across the land.
Okay.
So,
And you could do that with the contours, with a contour overlay, or?
you need to have a site evaluator do that, though. Someone that in Brunswick, you cannot have any new construction create a situation where water is not retained on site. And so you have to really know where the water's going. And people do that kind of work all the time. And I don't know who to tell you to go to have it done, but it can be done.
No, yeah, we have some connections for it. It's just a matter of, again, like kind of what I was saying earlier, are you going to want to see a full set of plans totally developed, or is our site plan with an overlay and a narrative acceptable as long as it conveys the information?
Let's
It all
see.
has to do with me and Harpswell Heritage Land Trust trying to, not spend an exorbitant amount of money where we've already gone into this pretty deeply. And it's just going to be a whole nother team, a whole nother drafting plan, a whole nother let's wait some months, that whole thing. So
Yep.
we're just wondering, I do have somebody that could potentially use our site plan, edit over top of it, get you the information that you need, but it
What are their
probably won't be as-
qualifications?
What's that?
What are their qualifications?
Landscape architect.
Okay.
But if you need to see, if it needs to be from an engineer, that's a different subject.
Okay.
Like somebody like
Isn't
Sebago
that what they
Technics
do?
is who I would go
Isn't
to
that what
for that.
landscape architects do?
All right.
Yeah.
So what's our answer? I think he's asking us a question.
Yeah. I don't know what landscape architects do. I mean, I don't, that may be some of what they do, I would imagine, but I don't know. Is that something that they would do?
Yeah, they would be qualified to tell you what kind of lid techniques. They would give you, I know at some point somewhere it said there's no calculation of the stormwater. So they would totally do that and say, you know, I would want them to walk the site and say, this is where this water is going. I would want them to give you the information that you have, but a fully developed plan is a whole nother thing. If they have to start from scratch and develop their own CAD plans using 1-foot topographical and then just basically redrafting everything, that's a high cost bar versus use what we have, get the answers that you guys are looking for, and maybe it's not as detailed, maybe it doesn't have the 1-foot topographical, but it is telling you, again, by a licensed professional who does this, that this is the direction of the water flow, this is where it's got to go, and this is how we're going to keep it on
Well,
site.
let me ask you a backup question then. So we have a plan, and the landscape architect puts their seal on it. And the calculations are incorrect, and say you have a drainage swale, and it overflows and it damages the neighbor's property. Who's responsible for that? The landscape architect?
I would suppose, yeah, if they put their stamp on it. If they're doing something more like a consulting, then they probably would be less eager to take that on.
So I think it needs to be stamped. Whatever it is, it has to have some kind of professional backup.
Plan.
Because you're more than doubling the size on this lot, and this is the land trust, and it is it's an example for everybody else.
Yeah, 100%. And again, I don't want to make it seem like there's something that I don't want to do here. I just want to know the bar of the, you know, of where you guys need to see stuff coming in. Because again, if we had a professional telling us what their opinion was, they're giving us their opinion. And they're telling us
Yeah.
what they would do. And then if we're paying them
Yeah.
to do the full set of
Yeah.
plans, they're giving us the same exact opinion
Yeah.
with a stamp.
Well, here's the thing. It's required, the direction of existing surface water drainage across the site is required. It's pretty clearly stated in the zoning ordinance, which you've read, and it wasn't included in these plans.
Got it.
So you're asking us now to determine for you something that really should have been thought of and provided to us with the packet. And I think it's hard for us to tell you what you need when we're pretty much on the fly, because something that wasn't really, that was required as part of the zoning ordinance has not been submitted. So if you had
Understood.
submitted something for us, then we could look at that and say, yeah, this works fine, or no, it doesn't. So I want to just kind of put that back in your ball court there.
And I would add the level of detail, we need to know what we're agreeing to so that the code office can make sure it's installed. So, you know, if it's a drainage swale, what's the size, what's the elevation, what's, you know, and how's the code office going to know it? Like, yeah, what they said is actually what was installed, so. Yeah. So some way to quantify that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, but I'm not sure whether we're making it easier or more difficult for you at this
I'm
point.
more and more confused.
Because, you know, if you come and present us with something that shows current drainage and how, with your landscape architect, how the drainage will work, where you're putting swales, what kind of pipes or whatever you're going to use. You know, if you provide that, it wouldn't be fair to you when you provide that for us to come back and say, oh, no, we want a topo instead. And, you know, so I think if you provide us with the information that shows current drainage and how the drainage will be handled under the proposal with somebody who has the authority to make those kinds of decisions, that's sufficient without going back and doing overworking it.
Yeah, I would
Is that-
agree.
is
I would
that-
agree.
Is that fair?
Yeah, I would
Okay.
agree.
So you don't need a topo.
Okay.
Okay, I was going to ask you if you knew what you needed to do.
Yeah, I'm gonna read exactly the words and provide what you guys need.
Okay.
Sounds smart.
Okay, the location, front view, dimensions, and lighting of existing signs. So that's recommended to be waived.
Yeah.
Okay. Location of the nearest fire hydrant, dry hydrant, or other water supply for fire protection. Probably should be on the plan.
Where are we? Sorry, what
It's the
page are we on?
previous-
I'm sorry, on page 5, top of page 5.
Okay, thank you.
I
do you-
just don't know why that standard's on
We
there.
don't,
You don't know why it's on there?
well, we
I
don't have
know,
any.
it feels like
We
just
have dry
a,
hydrants all over
Yeah, we do.
all over
Yeah.
the place.
They're wet.
maybe,
but-
maybe at Lily Pond, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know, I just don't,
I guess.
nobody's
So
gonna,
Chief Mercer
he
will
asked
know.
earlier where he would find that information,
Yeah.
because normally he would go to the town. Correct me if I'm misspeaking for you. He would normally go to the town to get that information, so where would he go to
You
find
go
that?
to Chief Mercer at Harpswell Neck Fire Department, and he
Or-
knows where.
Mike Drake,
Or
yeah.
Mike
Okay.
Drake, Mike Drake here at the town. He
Okay.
knows where all those.
That was just one of his.
Normally, I would ask Mike Drake during this process, I just haven't talked, I just haven't seen him.
Yeah.
But
Mike
I,
Drake or.
the
or
only,
other one.
the only thing I can think about why this standard is on there maybe is so that we can discuss if something's really far away, what ways are we gonna
Makes
help them, make sure that they're protecting their building. That's the only,
Well,
Yeah.
public safety is part, not public safety in
Yeah.
terms of fire protection, but is part of our, it's part of our responsibility.
Yeah.
I'm sounding better.
but nobody's gonna refer back to this and say, well, how far away was their fire hydrant again?
I don't know, you never know. You never know.
I can tell you a lot about fire trucks.
Yes,
I
you
do
can.
know that.
Okay.
Okay.
Did you get the name of?
Mike Drake
Mike
and,
Drake.
and
Just
Chief
making
Mercer.
sure we were
Yeah,
talking
Mike
fast.
Drake or Chief Mercer at Harpswell Neck, but Mike Drake will know. Here.
All right, I'm looking at 14.3, proposed development activity on page 5. Estimated demand for water supply and sewage disposal together with location and dimensions of all provisions. Okay, Margaret says, yes, this has been provided. Is that correct, Margaret?
Yeah, I don't, they provided their sewage disposal plan. I don't think that the number of employees and the number of users of the building matches the septic system, but I think that that's something that they will solve in the approval standards. I think it's fine.
When the fire marshal is consulted also as to how many people can be
Right.
present,
Yeah.
right, to use
Yeah.
Yeah.
whatever the septic is
See what
going
the
to be.
uses turn out to be.
So is there anything in addition to what's already been provided that you think needs to be provided so that Darius knows what,
I
make sure he
think
doesn't
it's
get
just
surprised?
Making all those numbers work.
Yeah, if it doesn't work, we're gonna have to have an expansion drawn up.
Yeah, or, yeah. And I'm happy to work with you on it too.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, this is another thing where if you decide to, at some point, if you get more land, for example, and you decide to enclose the screen porch to make it for year-round use, then you need to expand your septic system. These are just the kind of things that I think about for some reason, but, you know, it's planning, right? So that's why I'm not suggesting that something needs to change, but I can see down the road you guys coming back and saying, and hopefully you will, because we're so successful that we need to enclose this porch and turn it into office space. And then what happens then with how does that affect your septage? And then you find out, no, actually, we can't do that because we don't have the capacity. So it's just something I'm thinking.
Yep.
Just to add, again, we don't have proof, but we're getting it. There is a meter on the water usage on the, it's all of our estimates that it's wildly lower than 215 gallons
Yeah.
a day. So perhaps, when we get to that stage, we
That would
can
be really helpful.
have proof that says that this is what we're using, and we're open full-time, whatever that section is, so.
Okay.
Perhaps we can add that.
I have an idea here. We're moving on to two, the surface drainage plan, where this is a no. And I'm wondering, Margaret, if you could maybe look at some of the surface drainage plans that Bowdoin College has submitted as part of its site plan applications, and share those so that you can see what they've done. And that could give you some direction in terms of what we would really consider best practices.
Understood.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Description of solid special hazardous waste. Margaret waives that, no change. So there's not going to be any change, even though you're expanding, you're more than doubling the size of the facility? There'll be no change?
No change to which one are we on?
Page 5, number 3.
Page 5, number 3, yeah.
You guys aren't adding any more people to the site. You're just making, you're just, there's the same number of people are going to use the site. It's just going to be better utilized,
Right.
right?
Yeah, I guess I don't know how it pertains to hazardous waste, if they're not producing any.
I think it's the solid waste.
Yeah, it's
more
not
than
all
the-
It's all waste.
So back to the septic system. plan.
Right.
It's going back to cardboard, recycling, all of that, just a description of the location and screening of where your on-site collection and storage facilities would be.
Right, okay,
So just put them, just show where they are.
okay.
I asked a source that previously worked at the land trust, and they said they didn't have a dumpster. That they take it to the transfer station, recycling center.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that should just be noted then, somehow, how that's dealt with should be noted. So I would suggest that we don't waive that, but we ask for the information so that it's documented.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, locations, dimensions, and materials to be used, that's number 4. Margaret says yes, that's there. Looks like it's on the plan to me. Number 5, existing and proposed landscaping and buffering. Margaret says yes. And I don't see a landscape plan, so I don't really see it, but maybe I'm missing something.
I mean, he just showed a significant amount of landscaping on his site plan. That's what I was more going with.
So I would not go with that. This is just me. I'm speaking for myself here. You guys are going to be taking down a lot of trees, and I think you need to show where the trees are going to come down. That's not shown really on this plan. That's why I think you need a landscape and a drainage plan.
Well, that'll be taken care of with the landscape,
With the landscape plan.
right?
Yep, yep.
Okay.
Yep, so Margaret says, yes, it's been provided by this, but I don't think it has been. I would not accept this as the final. It doesn't really show me,
You would want to see something that says trees to be removed and then,
and what they're going to be replaced by, if anything.
Right.
What the new landscaping plan will be.
sure.
I have something that probably shouldn't be here, but I never know when to ask my questions, but I'm going to. I know that a lot of trees are going down in the proposed new parking, and a comment was made that the abutter is fine with it, et cetera. I'm wondering, do you have anything written from the person who is losing so many trees in his view for parking to be put in? I'm just
We didn't-
thinking about that.
We didn't go for any writing because I don't think that anything that we're doing is outside of code or would need some kind of acceptance letter from anybody. to my knowledge. It was just more of a courtesy that Matt went over to kind of chat with them and say, hey, this is what we're planning on doing, so that if there was some kind of blow up, it wouldn't happen on the planning board.
I just didn't
meeting.
want you to be,
Sure, yeah.
you know, faced with something where all of a sudden there's something contentious, so I didn't know that
Right. I mean, I
you
did
were
the same
hoping
thing.
that he was okay.
Yeah, on my
or-
property in Brunswick, I put a
Okay.
greenhouse up near the property line because it was allowed to be pretty close to the property line. I didn't put it as close as it's allowed, like a shed or a greenhouse or something like that could be 5 feet away. But I was 15 feet away, but it was not 20, which was the side setback, so I went and I talked to my neighbor and just let him know, and he's, you know, he was fine, of course.
Okay.
But
All right.
I think it was just kind of a courtesy that Matt was just like, hey, just so you know, we're going to be removing some of these trees and we're going to be putting in some parking and just more or less to just get.
And that was all right? with-
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So I think the landscape plan will show the trees that are going to be taken down, and then maybe show specific plantings and what's going to actually happen. I don't mean to be a pain in the neck here, but the land trust is, sort of as an example, and the last thing that you want to see is have an abutter come by and say, I didn't realize they were going to take down all these trees. And I said it was okay, but actually I didn't realize how much stuff was going to get taken down. We saw that with the expansion of safe harbors. And they actually, they went out of their way to plant new trees. I'm not suggesting that you do that, but they replaced every tree they took down, and they really worked with their neighbors on specific plantings. So I'm not suggesting that you do that, but that's out there.
Sure. That makes a lot of
So
sense.
just to clarify, you're suggesting on the plan, it's specifically what trees are being removed? And I'm just trying, I want to make sure I'm understanding what you're saying, because I don't want him to be confused.
That's good. I think that the landscaping plan
Yep.
will add more detail about what plantings are going to be put in place and where the trees will be taken.
Okay.
And then what and if any replacement trees will be. So that's what I'm suggesting.
Okay.
Perfect. Yeah.
Okay.
Trees or plantings, right? I mean,
Yeah.
some trees might not work in every location, but it might need to be something specific to, you know, the location.
Yeah, landscape designer will know,
They should.
hopefully. Okay, page 5, item 6. So on page 5, existing and proposed landscaping and buffering, I'm going to suggest putting a no there or putting a note, because I think we need more.
Not to waive it.
Pardon me?
It's not met.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I X'd it out.
okay. Thank you.
It's part of my
Okay.
X's.
Page 5, item 6. Margaret says yes. I don't think you're in a floodplain.
No.
Okay, good, last page. Page 6, top 7, calculation of total area covered by all structures. Margaret says no. You've explained to us, Darius, that you've done that, so let's see that in, as part of the application.
I'll just add that you included some area coverage on your site plan, but I couldn't really tell what you were including in this number and what you weren't including. So it says total area of all new spaces, total area of existing spaces. What's is an existing?
Existing spaces was the original deck, the existing structure, and
Yeah.
it was not the parking clearly, just from the number.
Yeah, I didn't know, does it include decks, walkways, ramps? Yeah, it just is a little bit vague, so even if that's the number you're going with, I couldn't really tell what was included.
Yeah, so
For
break it.
instance, on this page,
Break it down.
new and existing doesn't show, as new, you don't show the porches or any of the access. You show accesses, but you don't show them as new. So I didn't know, was that included in your number? Was it not included in your number?
Right.
Was it accounted for? So,
Okay. So I think we're looking for a more complete accounting and a breakdown of how you got the numbers, okay.
Can do.
Item 8, location, front view, materials, and proposed signs, that needs to be provided.
I thought they weren't changing this.
Yeah.
How is that different than the previous one that
Yeah.
talked about a sign?
Are there going to be any new signs?
So we would have to clearly mark, if we did the other driveway, the in and out, we would have to clearly mark entry and
Right.
exit. And
Right.
there was some talk about updating the sign as well, but we're not there yet. So we would just have to, I guess, follow the ordinance.
There's a sign ordinance.
Yeah.
It goes through the codes office.
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay. So location and exterior lighting, that needs to be provided. Location of all utilities, including fire protection, that needs to be provided. A general description of the proposed use, you've done that, that's a yes. Estimate an amount and type of impact, of peak hour and daily traffic. What do you folks think about this? The waiver is here, but I don't understand if you need to have a new exit. Why would you need that if traffic wasn't already an issue?
Traffic in and out of
Yeah.
traffic on 123 or traffic coming in? and
Oh,
out
I'm
of the
traffic.
parking lot?
I'm sorry. Generated, oh, okay. Thank you.
I'm not
Thank
sure.
you.
Anyway, I'm still.
I think I'm reading it wrong.
No.
An estimate of the amount, type, and impact of peak hour and daily traffic to be generated by the development. Impact on what?
Probably the road, right? 123, I would imagine.
I wasn't sure if it was interior
Yeah.
traffic flow or,
I just don't think, I read it as like, if they're gonna have a store, how many more people are gonna
Yeah.
come to the store?
and out.
They
If you're
are,
a 50-seat restaurant and you're
Yeah.
full,
Yeah.
right,
that would
and
be a
you
peak
guys,
hour.
there's no change in who is gonna use the property. So you're not expecting an increase. Yeah, that's how I
Yeah, I
read
was
it.
thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
If, you're not changing the use of the property. If we were changing it, to a restaurant or a convenience store, then we'd have to compare the current use with the proposed use. And we
What
don't
about
have
the
that.
additional capacity with the addition? Because there will be additional capacity, because they only have 2 offices now, or whatever they have now, but then they're gonna have 6 or 7. So there could potentially be more people coming in.
Well, it should at least go back to one of the issues, I think, that you folks have had is that you used to be able to have talks and things like that. But now the offices are taking up all of that space, so there's not a room where you can do that kind of a thing. But the initial one was planned for those people to come in and to be able to park.
Right.
But it's true, what
Yeah.
you said, Christine, is going to be more. So there will be some more occasionally,
Yeah.
when I don't know how frequent, the programs would be or the talks would be. But, yeah, that would be.
yeah, I mean, as Mr. Newberg said, I mean, if this is going to be a community center, then that is going to bring in, I mean, hopefully, additional fundraising, additional visitors, additional programs, people who use the land trust programs and use the land trust. So,
Yeah, I think it is worthwhile thinking about the
Yeah.
peak usage.
Yeah.
But I don't think that anywhere in the division of like, are we having a big meeting? Are we having programming? Are we having a speaker? I mean, all of those would be
Yeah.
probably considered and, but should be, yeah,
would the
recognized as a peak hour.
board, when the board feel comfortable if, instead of saying that we've waived it, just add some paragraph that expresses the intent of the land trust for future programs and why the additional parking spaces are needed and where you might be headed, because
What does that mean, where you might be headed?
what the new space might be used for and how it might impact traffic.
And I think a lot of that is covered
Yeah, I thought
by a
it was in there.
description of why are you looking for additional parking space.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that was
Yeah.
there. I've read that
Yeah.
someplace.
I mean, not asking for you to do a traffic study or,
No, I mean,
have a
I
traffic
guess the only thing I
engineer
would
do it.
add is to make sure it's on the record that
Yeah.
mainly what we're trying to do is to add safety to the situation because of the existing driveway, and having two cars is kind of not possible. So if you have a car that's trying to enter and a car that's trying to leave at the same time, it causes a bottleneck on the 123. And therefore, you got those speeding cars, which is dangerous, man. Yeah, I mean, Tim almost got whacked, just going out to take a look. So I think I just wanted to add that is because I know you were concerned about all the curb cuts, and there's curb cuts that add and there's curb cuts that divide. And I would say that this is the same amount of people coming in and going, but we're dividing them into two driveways to make it safer.
Those just should be put in writing.
Yep.
Yeah, that would be great.
yeah.
That would be great. I mean, because really, we wish you all success, We just,
Definitely.
No, I realize a lot of this has to do with my inexperience as a commercial builder, so I appreciate all the feedback that I'm getting and a little bit of the, the coddling along that I'm getting. And that's kind of what I needed, and I realize that I appreciate your time, because I know you're giving a lot of your time that, like you said, just could have been there at the beginning, but I wasn't sure what I needed.
Yeah, the nice thing is that
No
the next
sweat.
time you come before somebody, they're gonna say, holy cow, look at all the information you
No.
provided.
Right.
no. I can just say that when the applicant really gives us all the information, it goes so much more smoothly.
I know, I said I saw Mr. Forrester.
Yeah, I mean,
He's been here a lot.
He nailed
Here a
it.
lot. He knows.
That's not
see
his
him almost
first
every
time.
I was gonna say,
It's not his
Seems like-
first rodeo, and he made mistakes, but we went, okay, fix it, okay. So the last one is 13, and I think you've gotten pretty good direction there. Stormwater calculations, erosion and sedimentation control. And I think, if you could work with Margaret on just looking at what Bowdoin College has provided for some stuff, or anything that Margaret really thinks is a good example.
Okay.
That would probably be really helpful.
So we're not doing anything with these tonight?
No,
No.
no.
The only thing that I would say, I think you guys are going to be probably talking, was a concern about pedestrians. Just to make sure that there's good, flow. We just had on Oars somebody who was standing outside her car, and somebody hit her and killed her last week. Not saying that would, but I'm just thinking, you get out of your car in a parking lot and you think you're walking to the building, but where are you walking? Are you walking in the entrance
Right.
part? So I'm just thinking about that. So that would be hopefully something that you guys, that's the only thing I thought I needed to mention from this.
I'm glad you did, because, the site plan, this is great. It really makes the cars happy. But what are the walkers doing? We don't think about the human being when we do this stuff. I'm not being critical here. And if you've got kids here that are
Yeah, they're
running around,
uncontrollable.
then,
I was thinking more about like
My
programming
kids
at
are
night.
perfect. I
Yeah.
don't know what you're talking about.
yeah.
Programming at night, and you think about the grocery store. There's no pedestrian walkways at the grocery store. We all walk right through the
Right,
parking
it's
lot
like
in the
mayhem.
dark,
Yeah.
but maybe we don't need to add a pedestrian walkway. Maybe just a light. Maybe just a little.
Yeah.
Maybe
Once we
I
see
don't
the
know.
light,
Just
Yeah.
just some way to be thoughtful about
Just something,
how
yeah.
to get the pedestrians from the far new additional parking lot into the walkway.
Yeah,
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
it's just a light. Maybe it's a sign. I don't know.
yeah. Low-level lighting,
Some
definitely
way
low
just
lighting.
to make sure that it's safe. If it's dark, if it's raining, and there's a program.
I don't want to have you have to come back and then we point out that particular thing that
was
needs to
good.
be done. Yeah.
Anything else that anyone,
That was just one I think, most concerned about, especially not making him come back.
I think
so
we've given
times.
pretty clear direction.
if you feel comfortable with it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, you folks. we'll look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank
Do you think you need to vote, or we're just good to send him on his way?
No, we're just
Okay.
gonna, he's,
I don't need to hear all the ayes have, get out of here and try again.
No,
You
I
dropped
think-
something that looks like maybe it had a lot of notes on it
Yep.
that you might want.
That was my impervious.
I will say from the original application, it says, from the 2006, it says your lot coverage is at like, the proposed lot coverage was supposed to be like 18.5%. And I think that we talked about this when we met, maybe that the lot size was incorrect. Was that something that we talked about? Can't remember if it,
Second parcel or something like that?
oh, yeah, that's interesting. I will note one other thing on your site plan that I've lost now. The setbacks are incorrect.
Is it because it doesn't follow the
Well,
property line?
Well, yeah, that's one of them. It doesn't follow the property line, and the setbacks from the road should be 40 feet, not 20 feet.
Setback,
Just-
the road should be 40 feet.
Yeah, okay. The setbacks in this zone are 20 feet from all property lines, 40 feet from the edge of the traveled way. So usually the 40 feet from the edge of the traveled way is more restrictive than 20 feet from the property line, but it would be whatever's more restrictive. So, yeah. I don't think it's really going to impact, but at least we'll have it correct on the plan.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that now that I'm looking at it, I think she just drew the side setbacks based on the first parcel
Yeah,
and was like, well, if we're inside that, we're certainly inside
yeah.
the new parcel.
Yeah, but we'll look back in 10 years and say, oh,
What does this mean?
yeah, why is that like that? It's all about trying to solve problems for my future self.
And we won't be here.
Yes, we will.
all right, are we good?
Yep.
We good?
Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you for your time.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
We
Thank
have
you.
a couple other things on the agenda here.
Okay, other business, consideration of minutes from October 15th, 22nd, and November 19th. Has anybody read those? I did not read them.
I didn't see it, yeah.
I guess we have them, right?
Do we have them, Margaret? I didn't. We do? Okay.
Yes, I'm gonna say that, I'm gonna unconfidently say, yes, I did send them out. I've definitely sent them out in the past.
I mean,
Okay.
has it been a long time ago? Maybe I responded and forgot.
Yeah.
Oh, I sort of remember reading those, yeah.
I will say that the November minutes were done. I do want everybody to read them. They were done by Brian
Thank you.
Hubbard, who's the bookkeeper, because I didn't have time to do it, and he does the select board minutes, and they're a little bit of a different style. So if you
Okay.
guys want to just read it, and we can make any comments that we want,
I don't-
we'll amend them.
I don't have the November one.
Okay.
But I
Thank
do have
Thank you.
10:15 and 10:22 you
All
did
right.
send. You might have sent the other ones,
Okay.
oh yeah, we literally responded to,
I thought we did.
all of us.
Good, they were
Cool.
great.
Yeah, they're just a different style, so.
No, I just don't see the November ones.
Okay.
That
Well,
doesn't
I'll
mean you
send them out
didn't
again.
send them, but
Let's say yes.
If I look
to
at
the
our
15th,
email-
22nd, we'll get them.
I was just
Yeah.
gonna say, if I look at the email, we literally all responded to you about the 15th and the 22nd.
Yeah,
If we
good.
need to vote on those, I think that we have all read them. It was just,
Yeah, that was a
Long
long
as-
time ago to me.
but everybody wrote, looks good, nothing did
Good.
not note any issues. Nice job, thank
Great.
you.
Okay, so they are done.
Well, those are the.
Not the,
Yeah.
no-
No, those are the
November.
October
Okay.
ones.
We
All right.
can approve
October 15 and
the 15,
Cool.
and we can
22nd.
approve October 15 and 22.
Right,
Yeah.
but not
And
the,
hold off on November.
No.
Margaret,
'cause we
would the
don't have
minutes
those.
have been sent from anybody besides you for November?
No.
Okay.
I move that we adopt the minutes of October 15th and October 22nd.
Second.
Second, any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous,
Right.
thank you. Okay,
good, you're on. it.
public hearing for proposed ordinance amendments, that's
Oh,
an
yeah, You're
announcement?
trying to change that date, right?
Sorry?
You're going to change the date, right, to the
Yes.
4th? Yeah.
I'm a little worried we're not gonna have a quorum.
Oh, Because
I can't
Lori.
be here, I'm
oh,
out
you-
of town.
And I,
Where are you going?
I'm going to Florida and Dallas, Texas. I won't be here.
The two.
You didn't
fun.
have
No excuse.
But it's not on the 3rd, you know what I mean? 3rd Wednesday, so I thought I was.
Can you zoom in?
I could.
Poor thing.
Well, are the rest of us going to be here?
One,
I'm
two,
trying to change
three,
a
four. We
doctor's
have a
appointment.
quorum.
Well,
Oh,
if-
you had a,
I'm a
Heather's
maybe.
kind of-
I'm a
oh,
maybe.
Lori said she could make, Lori said she could make the date work.
She did say she could
Okay.
make it.
Okay,
So
that
we'll
I
have a
didn't see.
quorum.
well, then
She
we're
sent
fine.
it,
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we'll
As
have
long
a
as no one
quorum.
gets sick or something.
Yep.
yeah.
So here's an announcement for members of the public. If you've lasted this long watching this meeting, you could come in and get your gold medal tomorrow. Anyway, we are going to have a public hearing for proposed ordinance amendments on February 4th. Is that correct?
Yes.
At 6:30 or 6? What time?
4:30.
4:30, at 4:30. Okay.
4:30 PM.
Don't come at 6:30.
Don't come at 6:30. So February
have a
4th
quorum.
at 4:30 is the public hearing.
So the reason we had to delay it to totally be transparent is because I only placed one ad in the paper instead of two, and I could not make the 7-day noticing requirement for the second ad. So it just is so ridiculous, and the Times Record only prints once a week, and so that's, I went down a wicked rabbit hole trying to coordinate the public hearing, advertisements for the planning board and for the comp plan. It all got worked out, but it was,
I wish we could just put them in the Anchor, because the Anchor keeps
This-
an electronic, they change things.
This is in state law, though, any
Oh.
zoning ordinance amendment, and technically
Bummer.
they are,
Okay.
so.
They have to go to Brunswick?
I don't know
They
how
have
she
to
does
be-
it. I don't know how she's
Yeah.
doing it anyway.
You'll have to
I just
advertise
don't
twice.
even-
The first time has to be 12 days before, and the second time has to be 7 days before, and today is day 7, so it didn't get in the paper today. So anyways, we had to postpone it.
It's okay.
Real-
Margaret, I just
a
want to
real
say,
rabbit hole.
you've got my admiration for all you're doing after all you've been through and all you continue to go through, and we just don't know how you're doing it.
Well,
But thank you for
You're
everything.
welcome. A lot of support.
you.
Did everybody have a chance to read what Amy wrote? Did anybody have any comments on her?
I read it, finally.
Yeah, no, we thought it was
Everybody
fine.
read it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep,
Joel responded, and
Okay.
you already sent it in. already.
I did, I sent it in.
Oh, okay.
It's
Yeah.
not even due till Monday.
Amelia has it now. Let's see, one thing that I just want to let folks know, and it's not on the agenda, but is we're hoping to get the comprehensive plan on the warrant for town meeting, but we're not sure. Margaret will let us know if that's going to happen. If not, it'll be on June, so.
Well, we've definitely scheduled the public hearing. It's going to be the day before the planning board public hearing. It'll be Tuesday, the 3rd, I think.
For
At,
the comprehensive plan?
yeah, at 6 PM here. Then the state needs 10 days to approve it. So I'm going to try to send him a draft to kind of get like a pre-approval. And then hopefully it'll all work out.
Yeah, it'd be really great to get it on the warrant. That would just be so copacetic.
March, when's the town meeting? March what?
March 7th or something.
Oh, gracious.
7?
I think it's the 14th.
I think
Something.
I feel like I just read the 14th.
Yeah, I think it's the
14th.
14th.
I brought the ordinance amendments. Do you want them now, or do you want me to package them up and put them in the?
Attach them to an email.
Okay, attach them to an email.
I mean,
Another
if you
time.
have a copy, I'll
Yeah,
take it.
all right.
Yeah, I'll
was
take
just gonna
it.
say, I think I will.
So
Yeah,
there's
I'll
there's
read 'em.
4 ordinance amendments. One's definitions addendum for freshwater wetland, site plan review ordinance, basic land use ordinance, and floodplain management ordinance. They're all just housekeeping stuff. The only thing, I haven't finished the basic land use ordinance. It has to do with the Board of Appeals language. We got a legal opinion last year for something, and the attorney recommended that we update our Board of Appeals language to be more consistent with state law. And so I'm working with the chair of the Board of Appeals and the town attorney to make sure that our language suits the town and the people and the scale of development that happens here. but also is consistent with state law. So we're just kind of going round and round.
And the other thing too, just when the plan is adopted, Margaret has gotten funds to hire somebody who will help do implementation. And part of that is going to be zoning ordinance amendments. And I don't know if you have a tickler file or something like that, Margaret, that keeps zoning ordinance issues, amendments, that just have a list of things that we really need to pay attention to as we go through in the implementation process. I don't know if you've got something like that.
I mean,
but-
to a certain extent, but we can't do anything that's not prescribed in the comp plan.
Well, no, but I mean, I'm not suggesting that we would, but there are things that we have been through that, like tonight, we went through with jurisdictional review, you know, and is there something we could do that would make it easier for us to understand in terms of to greatest practical extent, what, you
Yeah.
know, what, could we do something that would help make that more clear?
I do think that parking, I think it's reasonable to require a minimum parking spaces. Because right now in the codes office, we make an estimation, but there's actually no requirement for parking spaces. So could we reasonably require one parking space per bedroom? Could we require, I don't know, it's something to think about.
Well, that's why I'm asking if you
Yeah.
have a tickler file, and I would suggest
yes.
putting that in there.
Maybe not one per bedroom, only because what if you have kids? They don't
Well,
drive.
then you have two adults and you have
Maybe.
two cars for one bedroom. So,
The chief executive officer of the town of Harpswell is at the
Mary Ann Nave. I was listening to Tim Forrester tonight, and through the Resiliency Committee and the Conservation Commission, we have been following, the state is making a lot of changes regarding
These are ones via email. She just wants them via email.
semi-hard,
Yeah, I do. I'm gonna-
Pervious and impervious things.
yeah, and shoreland buffers and so forth. I think, would you like to have somebody come in and talk to you about that?
Yes.
Is what I'm thinking.
Yes.
Jamie Hark mentioned to us last week that the state has money that they've put to go to towns and talk about this.
Great.
And he was wondering if we'd be interested in getting them to come. Did you go to the one in Bath with me?
yeah, I don't think that that's what they mean, but
But what I'm thinking is somebody that can explain the thinking behind the state of why they're doing what they're doing.
Well, the other thing too, yes, and in addition to that, I don't know if the Conservation Commission would be interested in just weighing in on the applicant's use of the material based on the information
Yeah.
that they've got. I mean, just a one-paragraph note that Margaret could include with our
Yeah.
packet. That would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah. What we ran into, and we used to do it, is we always seem to be meeting on the same day that you're meeting. And you didn't have it a month before.
Yeah.
But that is what we ran into in the past. But I was thinking tonight, even when you were talking to the Land Trust, there are things that we can furnish to them that would make them understand what we're trying to accomplish better.
Yeah.
Sure, they
So anyhow, I just thought I'd mention this, and we can pursue getting, and that would be good for codes too, I think, Margaret, to understand.
I am passionate about overhauling our shoreline stabilization ordinances. I feel like I have talked to you about it a 1,000 times,
You have,
probably.
yeah.
I think our ordinances are lackluster, and I think that there's a balance to be reached between technical expertise and kind of what the code office is capable of. But our language is really just soft and doesn't,
Yeah.
all we basically say is, how are you going to access the lot? Are you going to replant it? Okay. Not like, is it the best use of the lot? Is it, I don't know. There's been a lot of shoreline stabilization applications that have come through that I don't necessarily agree with, but they check all the boxes.
Yeah.
So, and the state is making tons of changes. The DEP launched a program called Our Shore, which is an acronym, but it basically encourages nature-based techniques.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I think would be
requires,
important, because it's going to be a training process, and the state is giving programs to engineers and so forth. But I think it would be kind of good for us to know here the thinking
Yeah.
Yeah.
behind, so when they come to you, and Tim did a nice job tonight, because he also put a little extra in of why they did it,
Yeah.
which is,
Yeah.
was
He's,
helpful.
he's kind of pioneering one
He's
of these.
pioneering this.
One of these.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Um,
I'll let you go home.
I really wanted the Bowdoin fellow last summer to look at shoreline stabilization in our ordinances, and she didn't, because she did different projects, but we are gonna get another fellow this year. and
Oh,
it's,
great.
Again, gonna be
We are going to get a
suggested.
fellow,
Good, excellent.
a
It'll be
jolly good one.
What?
A jolly good fellow.
Gonna get a fella. Yeah,
I'm sorry, it's late.
We might get two.
Yeah?
Well, if we get that other
Thank you
grant,
for
we get
doing
one with.
Yeah?
Don't they have something new in the state about evening lighting? I thought they just passed a law about the light
Yeah.
in the, I think they just did.
Like low lighting?
Yeah,
Yeah.
at night or something.
Non-bright
I think it's
stuff.
municipal lighting, but it's an ordinance that we have to adopt or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I
just
think
read
so. It
something
has to
about
do
that.
with, you know, clear sky. No, that's not
Dark
clear sky.
skies?
Dark skies.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I seem to remember I read that.
I know.
All right, Amy?
okay. Adjourned.